Yeah!
Gosh, I never been this high before.
Join me, Matt Connarton, weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m. live for a discussion about politics where we put aside labels like liberal and conservative and have a discussion about truth and what's really happening in the world.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Azevedo from Granite State of Mind, reminding you to tune in every Friday night at 6 o'clock for live in-studio performances by some of the very best artists from around the state. It's called the Granite State of Mind Music Series.
This hour on WMNH is proudly sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 171 Londonderry Turnpike in Hooksett. Serving all your employee benefits planning, design and administration, investment and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. They are available at 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
You are listening to WMNH-LP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Contact us by email at WMNH953@gmail.com or through our website at WMNHradio.org.
Listen to those leaders so intently. Those Che Guevara shirts all seem so trendy. Thought that things would be so nice and friendly. So why am I eating my neighbor's dog Benji? 20 million killed, sure that stuff I don't like, but I can stay on mama's plan the rest of my life. Guaranteed job digging ditches, oh well what's not to like? It's failed miserably each time, so trying again seemed wise. Now I'm looting, 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 grabbing wieners like I'm Kevin Spacey. Told the crowd we need free markets instead. Now my neck is no longer attached to my head. They promised things would all be better now, better now. If pure equality was finally found, finally found. Now we're all grocery shopping at the pound, said we have everything, but we don't have anything. Whoa, how much plasma are they gonna take before I finally have enough to trade for toilet paper or a rodent steak? I keep on looking back on better days. They promised things would all be better now, better now. With free expression it was not allowed, not allowed. But I just caught my Roomba texting Mao, said that we have everything, but we don't have anything. They promised things would all be better now, better now. With men with guns took farmers land and plow, land and plow. Now it's another night of rat kung pao, said that we have everything, but we don't have anything. They promised things would all be better now, better now. If we nationalized oil in the ground, but somehow gasoline cannot be found, not be found. Said that we have everything, but we don't have anything. Whoa.
Paul Manafort will be sentenced on March 8th in Alexandria, Virginia for bank and tax fraud. The special counsel suggests the former Trump campaign chairman could face up to 24 years in prison and a fine of up to $24 million. In August, a jury found Manafort guilty of trying to hide millions of dollars he earned from pro-Russia leaders in Ukraine and lying to banks. In addition to this case, Manafort is also facing charges of conspiracy and lying to prosecutors. Manafort is scheduled to be sentenced in a D.C. court on March 13th. Both cases came out of special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation into Russia meddling in the 2016 election. Russia has denied any allegations of meddling. President Donald Trump has consistently denied allegations of collusion and has called Mueller's investigation a witch hunt. Manafort has been behind bars since June.
There's a man who leads a life of treason. Now he can't believe the trouble he's in. He gave insider polls to Putin and his trolls. Odds are he's in Leavenworth tomorrow. Secret agent Manafort, secret agent Manafort. Hey, they're giving you a jumpsuit and taken away your name. You mention Mueller and he barely twitches, but Deripaska makes him soil his britches. Even at his trial, he had Kalimnik on speed dial. Odds are Trump is his cellmate tomorrow. Secret agent Manafort, secret agent Manafort. Hey, they're giving you a jumpsuit and taking away your name. They say he laundered money and then hid it. He said, oh, no, 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 okay, I did it. A guilty plea he copped. Yeah, he flipped, but then he flopped. Odds are he'll say, pardon me, tomorrow. Secret agent Manafort, secret agent Manafort. Hey, they're giving you a jumpsuit and taking away your name. Yeah, they're giving you a jumpsuit emblazoned with your name.
I woke up in the White House. Oh my God, I'm president. I'm so rich and I'm an ass. And there's a wig on my head. I just FaceTime Putin. I told him I'm his biggest fan. Got so much scandal on the front page. Holy shit, let's build a wall. Ooh, I can tweet so well. Wonder if I can say the N-word. Wait, can I really say the N-word?
North Korea, North Korea, in North Korea, North Korea, in North Korea, North Korea, North Korea,
North Korea. I woke up in Donald Trump's body. So orange, overweight, and slightly balding. Now I got no choice but to ruin this country. I can't believe that it's Freaky Friday. It's Freaky Friday in Donald Trump's body. I eat pizza the wrong way and I drink water like a widow.
And we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there, and we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the band. They sued us in the Ninth Circuit, and we lost, and then we lost in the appellate division, and then we went to the Supreme Court, and we won.
Donald Trump, he's lost it up here.
Auto sequence starts.
You jumped the bandwagon. You're all like, oh, I'm against the globalist elite, blah, blah, blah. It's not very convincing, to be honest.
Why don't you go yourself, you tiny brain, and I hope this gets picked up. Because you're a moron. I tried to give you a hearing, but you were too annoying for me.
You can't handle the criticism, can you?
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's Matt Connarton, Unleashed in the Afternoon. We are live on WMNH 95.3 FM, emanating from downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. A bright, sunny, mild, glorious, spring-like day. And it's a beautiful thing. Of course, we are on WMNH 95.3, also on Comcast Channel 97 if you are in Manchester. And, of course, you can enjoy the show from anywhere at WMNHradio.org and on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page, where you can interact and opine, etc., etc. Today is Friday, February 22nd, 2019. The number to call is 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Let's see, we already have a lot of Facebook live chat activity. I see Ricky Litwinkowicz in there. Ricky says, afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Ricky. Let's see, Fred Bonig from the dailyripple.org. I don't see him yet in the Facebook live chat, but he did send me via a private message that Roy Zimmerman track, Secret Agent Manafort, which I love. I love Roy Zimmerman. By the way, that parody of Better Now by Post Malone is Remy. You can often see his stuff on Reason.com. He does some great parodies as well. Let's see. And then, of course, that was Little Dicky doing that Freaky Friday, which is a parody of, I think it's Chris Brown who does that song. But I always play the Freaky Friday song on Friday because it's Friday, and it just seems appropriate. So, as you can tell, I put a lot of thought and just sheer genius into that decision. But I have made it an unofficial tradition. It's the one thing I do consistently every single Friday. I play that. Let's see. Hello to Patrick Henry, who says hello from Seoul, South Korea. Well, hello, Patrick. Let's see. Bill Berry is in the Facebook live chat. Alderman Bill Berry. Hello, Bill Berry. Ricky Litwinkowicz says hi, Jenny. And there's Jenny in the Facebook live chat. Hello. By the way, Ryan Gorman was on the phone with us yesterday. I do believe he will be stopping by today. Mr. Paul Cormier called my cell phone earlier, did not leave a voicemail. I called him back, and he did not answer, but I wonder if he might surprise us today as well on this glorious Friday afternoon. So something kind of funny. So there's this whole Robert Kraft, who he's the owner of some sports team, I guess, the New England Patriots or something. I'm not a sports fan, as y'all know. But apparently Robert Kraft got into some trouble with I guess he hired a prostitute. And that is frowned upon legally. Personally, as a civil libertarian, I think that these things should all be legal. But, and I meant to pull up the story. We'll get the latest on this. But here's what's funny about this. Yesterday on the show, this is a crazy coincidence, right? Or maybe it's not. Maybe we put the energy out into the universe somehow in this, and then something terrible happened to Robert Kraft. But I don't think that's it. I think it's a coincidence. Because we certainly did not wish anything bad to happen to Robert Kraft, nor did we in any way encourage him to solicit a prostitute on the show. But here's what happened. So yesterday on the show, we had Kyle Heavey was on the show with me during the first hour, and we were talking about a certain individual with whom I got into quite the exchange on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page. And this certain individual, his initials are RK. Now, I explained to Kyle and I explained to the audience that even though this individual was posting on the Matt Connarton Unleashed Facebook page for all the world to see, I still felt weird about using his real name on the show, even though he was posting on the Facebook page for the show. I just felt like, I don't want to use his name on the show, unless I know it's definitely okay with him. And most likely it is, because he was posting publicly on the show's page, but I just feel weird about it, right? So his initials are RK. So then I think it was Kyle who said, well, let's call him Robert Kraft. We'll refer to him as Robert Kraft instead of his real name. I think it was Kyle's idea. I'm going to blame Kyle. So we were talking about Robert Kraft, but we weren't really talking about Robert Kraft. We were talking about this other individual who shares the initials of Robert Kraft. And then we continued to use the name Robert Kraft later in the show when Ryan Gorman called in. And he knows RK very well personally, the RK that we were actually talking about. But so we used the name Robert Kraft quite a bit on the show, not referring to the actual Robert Kraft, but to this other guy. It's just so weird because it's really one of the only ways that the name Robert Kraft would ever be used on the show. I'm pretty sure yesterday is the only time, thinking back in the history of Matt Connarton Unleashed, that the name Robert Kraft has been spoken on this program because, you know, he owns a big sports franchise, and I'm not a sports fan. I'm very ignorant to these matters of sports. I don't even know how many innings are in a football game. I have no clue. So it's just weird that yesterday, of all days, we just happened to randomly choose Robert Kraft, that name, as a pseudonym, if you will, for the person we were actually talking about. And then the next day, the big breaking news is he apparently is in a little bit of trouble. Let's see. And if you haven't heard, CNN.com reporting New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft accused of soliciting sex, police say. New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft is being charged with 2 counts of soliciting someone to commit prostitution stemming from a raid in a day spa in Florida, police said today. Kraft, age 77, was linked to a sting that has been going on for months, and his charges relate specifically to 2 different visits.
Say Robert Kraft. He's the owner of the New England Patriots.
Hang on.
Paid a prostitute for sex.
Here's the actual audio from CNN.
Yes, sir. He is one of the individuals. He is. That would be Mr. Robert Kraft.
Robert Kraft, the owner of the New England Patriots?
Yes, sir.
And what is he being charged with?
He's being charged with the same offenses as the others, and that is soliciting another to commit prostitution.
CNN's Jason Carroll reporting this story for us. Jason, what more can you tell us?
Really, this is an embarrassing moment for Robert Kraft, the 77-year-old billionaire owner of the New England Patriots. Again, just to recap here, Jupiter Police announced today that he was charged with 2 counts of soliciting and another to commit prostitution. This is stemming from an 8-month investigation, 8-month-long investigation that stemmed from Florida, also to China, and to New York. Apparently what investigators are saying is he visited this day spa on not one, but allegedly 2 occasions.
Oh, the horror.
And according to what investigators are now telling us, he is among some 25 men who were arrested, again, for soliciting a prostitute. Again, this is the owner of the New England Patriots, a friend of the president. Again, much of the details of this coming forward to us now as this press conference now just wrapping up. But you're getting the headline there that Robert Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots, arrested for soliciting a prostitute at a day spa down there in Jupiter, Florida. We're efforting more information. As soon as we're able to get it to you, we'll pass it along.
The Patriots releasing a statement just moments ago. We categorically deny that Mr. Kraft engaged in any illegal activity. Because it is a judicial matter, we will not be commenting further. That from the New England Patriots about their owner, Robert Kraft.
I love the way, you probably heard me laughing. I left the mic up. I love the way that they shoehorn that in. A friend of the president. You know, because it is CNN. And you know, I'm not a conservative, and I'm not a big Trump guy. So I'm not one of these people who's going to sit here and go, see, there it is, another example of the liberal media just doing, you know, using any excuse possible to take a shot at Trump. But having said that, yeah, that does seem like one of those instances where they kind of have a point. I mean, that did seem really gratuitous, didn't it? Like, literally, what did that have to do with anything? Robert Kraft, a friend of the president. I mean, that is shoehorning. That's got nothing to do with anything. Completely extraneous and unnecessary. But we're just gonna shove that in there, you know, because I mean, again, it does give the Trumpists a little bit of ammunition, right, when they do that so blatantly, because, you know, I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm trying to think of an example of, you know, who's a celebrity who might have been friends with Barack Obama who got in trouble, you know, like, you know, R. Kelly is in all kinds of trouble again. Like, if I pull up some audio of CNN reporting on R. Kelly, is it going to be, you know, R. Kelly, who once was photographed shaking hands with former President Barack Obama, you know, I mean, well, Fox News might do. Actually, Fox News would do that. Now that I'm thinking about it. but CNN certainly wouldn't. I just thought that was interesting. But the other thing, too, is that you may have noticed I'm pursuing this particular story with a bit of a mocking tone because, as a civil libertarian, I don't think, that these non-victim crimes should be, I don't think it is a worthy endeavor for our law enforcement to be pursuing, and this probably won't, I've never specifically discussed the issue of prostitution on the show, I don't think. Maybe I have, but I do talk about the drug war a lot, so if you're a regular listener of the show, you know that I oppose the drug war. And I also, I oppose laws against gambling. I think in a free society, if you want to gamble, you should be able to gamble. Plus, our government, on what issue could our own government be more consistently hypocritical, right? Because gambling is illegal unless the government's directly involved in it. Then they're okay with it. We can have government-operated casinos, and we can. The government will gladly sell you lottery tickets at any convenience store you want to frequent, but. So as long as they're the ones as long as the government's making money, it's okay. But if the government's not directly involved, it's a terrible societal ill that we simply cannot condone or tolerate, right? The same with prostitution. And the thing that really makes me nuts about prostitution is, it's like you hear about, like in that story, John King and was talking with that correspondent. I forgot the name of the correspondent, the one who went out of his way to mention that Robert Kraft is friends with the president. This was like a months-long sting. It was a long-term thing trying to bust this place for prostitution. And it's like, is this? And by the way, this is very similar to the argument that I use when discussing busting people for cannabis. Is this really what you want law enforcement to be doing? Is this, with our tax dollars that pays for law enforcement, that pays for these sting operations to try to bust somebody for paying for sex, apparently not once in the case of Robert Kraft, but twice, the horror. This man should be in federal prison. He should be in leg irons for this, right? Come on. Is this really what you want law enforcement doing? See, maybe I'm a radical. Maybe I'm just crazy. Maybe I'm some sort of anarchist and I just don't really realize it yet. But I would prefer, this is just me, I would prefer law enforcement be doing things like maybe solving murders, solving rapes, solving burglaries, recovering stolen vehicles. I don't know. These types of things, right? Fraud, investigating fraud. I don't want our law enforcement locking up people for possession and use of cannabis. I don't want law enforcement busting in and raiding a room where there's a illegal underground poker game going on. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good use of resources to me. And I don't want law enforcement really dealing with prostitution, Especially, by the way, something that I find particularly egregious is, when they have these female law enforcement officers that have to go undercover, because that's usually a part of the sting, right? There's female officers that have to go undercover as prostitutes to bust up these prostitution rings. Really? Is that something we should be doing? Putting these officers in danger? Because that's a dangerous thing, right? But why is it so dangerous? Oh, I know why. Because it's illegal, and when you make something illegal, you create an underground black market for it. And now you have dangerous things going on because it's illegal. So if it's not illegal, it becomes less dangerous. Like with prostitution, so you don't have these abusive pimps and so forth. Forgive me if I don't know the details of how this works. I myself have not paid for sex, but or with the drug war. Again, it's funny. You'd probably have a lot less violence on the streets if you don't have drug dealers shooting each other on the streets. Okay, so let's let's be a little bit smarter about how we approach these things and use our resources in a smarter way. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Hey, Matt. This is Pete from Manchester.
Pete from Manchester. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I don't have much to say. I usually agree with you. I mean, I always agree with you. I mean, I see eye to eye with almost every point you make on this show. I listen almost every day.
That's frightening. I appreciate it, but thank you.
I just heard this story break too, and I just feel like you're missing the. And I could be way off base with the facts here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know all the info, but the human traffic element on this part is like probably what you might be missing as far as like. I mean, I think prostitution and might be like a victimless crime, but like. I don't know if like these are like trafficked in, prostitute sex workers. I think that's an entirely different thing than if like these like women are voluntarily doing this kind of thing.
Right. So, well, yeah, Pete. I mean, I understand your point, and that's a common argument that I do hear in favor of cracking down on prostitution. But what I would say is. And human trafficking is a terrible problem, and I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it should. I think that if we want to effectively fight and prosecute human trafficking, then I think that we need to kind of separate that a little bit from just prostitution, because they're not the same thing. If you have women, you know what I mean? If you have women voluntarily working as prostitutes, they're voluntarily working as prostitutes. Now, if you have young girls, which is a terrible, heinous thing, by the way, and anyone who engages in human trafficking, that should absolutely be illegal, and those people should be prosecuted to the fullest extent. The people who force women to engage in that and whatnot. But I'm talking about voluntary prostitution. I think it's important to separate the thing, because part of the problem that's happened, I think, is that. If you kind of lump everything together, you've got sex workers, even sex workers who are doing things that at one point may have been theoretically legal, are now getting swept up and prosecuted, as prostitutes or whatever. This is part of the knock against Kamala Harris in California, is that she's helped prosecute a lot of sex workers who were voluntarily doing their jobs, but in the name of quote unquote human trafficking. Now everyone has to be prosecuted for everything sexual when there's any money exchanging hands. So I don't disagree that it's a problem. I think we need to kind of parse it a little bit. That's all.
No, I see what you're saying. Hey, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Pete. Thank you for the call, my friend.
You got it.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. That was Pete from Manchester, who agrees with me on almost everything. That's unusual, because I'm kind of all over the place ideologically. But thank you, Pete, for the support, and I'm glad you enjoy the show, and I appreciate your listening. It really is spring. I had to. It feels like spring. I don't want to get cocky about it, because last year, I'm just saying, because I'm sitting here sweating. I've got a window open, and I'm still like really, really warm. Last year, do you remember what happened last winter here in New Hampshire? I was walking around at the end of February in a T-shirt, no jacket, going, oh, looks like another early spring. Awesome. And then March showed up and kicked us right in the cojones. Yes. So that was, and I think March we actually got more snow than probably January and February combined. I don't think that's going to happen 2 years in a row, but I'm being very careful not to get complacent about the weather. So anyway, Robert Kraft, a 77-year-old billionaire, he could be on his way to the hooskow for getting caught up in this. And I do love the word hooskow. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing that correctly, but I heard it somewhere once, as another term for jail, and I thought, that's great. What a great word. By the way, I'm sort of half kidding, though, when I say that. I don't think he's on his way to the hooskow, precisely because he is a 77-year-old billionaire. We don't typically put billionaires in prison, not for this type of thing. I mean, someone like Paul Manafort, who I think is only a millionaire, a mere millionaire, he's going away to prison for the rest of his life. Boy, that guy, I can't figure out, is he his own worst enemy, or does he just have the worst legal team ever in the history of law and white-collar crime? But, man. But remember, President Trump did say he was going to surround himself with the best people. I think what he actually meant was he was going to surround himself with the best people, the people best suited for an orange jumpsuit, perhaps. But anyway, like I said, it just blows my mind that, we kept using the name Robert Kraft on the show yesterday, referring to somebody else, and then Robert Kraft gets in trouble. It's just very, very odd. Let's see. 603-250-6007 is the number to call if you'd like to chime in on anything we've already discussed. If you have thoughts on the prostitution stuff or anything else, really. You know how it is. We keep it kind of loose and fancy-free here on the program. We do have quite a few things. We live in such interesting times, don't we? I wanted to share this. One of the things that we talk about on the show quite a bit is President Trump and his relationship with a very important part of his base, which is, of course, Christian evangelicals. They really got behind him. They continue to be behind him. But there may have been some splintering here. The group of people that I never thought would question Donald John Trump, they are not happy. And I'm going to say something nice about Trump here, by the way, something positive. Because I know some people think, oh, Matt, you hate Trump. All you do is dump on Trump. No, that's not true. I mean, I do dump on him quite a bit. I have far more criticism than nice things to say about him. That, I think, is very true. But I don't strictly dump on him. When he announced pulling out of Syria, which I'm a little unclear if that's actually happening now, but I stood with him on that. Criminal justice reform, absolutely gave him tremendous applause for that. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think of something. Oh, and, I know that he's taking a lot of, let me just put it this way. People are very skeptical of the ongoing process here of denuclearization, hopefully, with North Korea. I'm still kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt on that. I would rather be talking than not talking in terms of North Korea. But the Trump administration wants to help end the criminalization of homosexuality around the world, and continuing a policy under the Barack Obama administration. And this has caused some Christian evangelicals to get a little bit upset, who are some folks who are not happy with the Trump administration. So he's actually managed to lose, not only has he lost Ann Coulter over the wall, and a few other conservatives, I'm sure, he's also now alienated some Christian evangelicals. Because one thing about Trump, and we've talked about this on the show too, he says and does things that would seem to be kind of, depending on your point of view, racially insensitive. Let's go with that. Sometimes when I feel like being kind, I use these euphemisms like racially insensitive or xenophobic or nativist. This is a surprise. I've not seen this gentleman in here in a I see this gentleman in here all the time, but not during my program. Ladies and gentlemen. And he's sitting at the news desk, which means that he's, for this point in time, the best newsman in the business. Peter White from The Morning Show with Peter White is here.
Yeah, I got about 15 minutes. I thought I'd stop by and say hello.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen you you're right. I haven't seen you in a while.
You haven't been in here in a long time.
Your hair is so long now. What happened?
Well, I just, sometimes I tie it back. But today, I thought, I'm just going to let it all hang out. I'm going to let my hair down.
Let your hair down.
I'm going to enjoy. It's silky smooth. I don't know if you can tell from over there. But I'm just going to enjoy my hair,
Nice.
And when I let it down, it kind of, works with the graphic of me that's over there.
We were talking about the posters on the show this morning. And I have to say, I love your poster. I really do.
Brendan did a great job.
You have a great poster. I think I like mine better.
I like yours.
I know.
I like yours.
Because I'm sure you like yours better.
I like them all. I do like mine better. I like mine the best, actually. When Brendan, I probably told you this off air at some point, but when Brendan first showed it to me, he said, yeah, I was nervous about showing it to you because I didn't know what you were going to think because I kind of took a risk with it.
No,
you know?
I knew that you loved it. 'Cause
Yeah.
I remember when you first saw it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, my God, dude, it's tremendous.
It is good.
So you can only stay for 15?
Yeah.
Because I think at some point your former Amsterdam cohort, Ryan Gorman, is coming in.
I'll make sure I get out of here before he gets
Oh,
here.
no. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't need that today.
well, that's true. You do. It's not like you haven't seen him. I mean, he comes in on the morning show sometimes.
Yeah, he's banned, actually. He hasn't been in a while. He's not really banned.
Oh, okay.
He's not really banned.
I was going to say, give me the dirt.
No, there's no dirt.
Oh,
There's no dirt to give.
That's disappointing. I like dirt. I like the gossip.
Oh, I know.
You know how
there's
I
not
am.
too much gossip going on, though.
I know.
Not really.
Well, what about, Heidi Hamer says, Peter White in the other seat.
Yeah, I know, right?
The other seat.
So weird.
The news desk.
It's all right, though. Because over here, I can just, sit here.
Fred Bonig is in the Facebook live chat and says, I took my hat and said, imagine that. Oh, he's sharing a Facebook link. I'll have to look at that in a minute. What about with Eric Gagnon? Because as you know, Peter, I did try.
I know.
I did try to lure him away. I tried to poach him. I told him I would pay him double whatever you're paying him and add a zero, and he rebuffed my my offers. And I mean, is his position secure on the morning show currently?
I think it is. He's been great. He's
Has
been
he?
great. Yeah, he's been
Good.
great.
Good.
He was great today. I was just trying to find out today if he had belly button lint in his belly button.
I heard, yes.
And he says you're not supposed to touch your belly button because it may get infected.
I've never heard that in my life.
Yes, you're not supposed to. Yeah.
Touch my belly button every day. I got to dig the lint out of it.
Really? You finger your own belly button?
Yeah, I'm not just going to walk around with a belly button full of lint.
Right.
That's disgusting.
Right. You know, I did it yesterday on the show. I pulled out belly button, because it's always there.
Yes.
And then I, you know what? I checked in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And there it was again. I double dipped.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you have to. Yes. We have a call. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Oh, it's Ridley.
Dave Ridley from the Ridley Report. How are you, sir?
Oh, pretty good. But apparently, the state is in a situation of greatest crisis.
Oh, my goodness.
Uh-oh.
People are apparently behaving too honorably, and so now they're going to outlaw it.
Oh, my. Outlawing acting honorably? Did you know about this, Peter White?
I didn't know. It sounds like a state of emergency.
It is a state of emergency. Do we have an alarm?
Apparently, there must have been an epidemic of young men wanting to marry their girlfriends, and they're trying to stop this. So, if passed, this bill that they're working on now would make it illegal to get married if you're 17.
Oh.
Well, right now, don't you need parental consent to get married if you're 17?
No.
You don't?
I don't think you do.
I didn't know that. Really?
Maybe I'm wrong. I think in the state it's 16, unless they changed it.
I mean, I know the age of consent is 16 as far as, you know.
No, I think you can get married, though.
Wow.
Dave, am I right? What are the rules about getting married? How old do you have to be to get married in New Hampshire?
Well, it used to, I don't know what it used to be, but they raised it to 16 last session, and I guess they're trying to raise it again to 18. I don't know, but maybe there may be loopholes I don't know about where you could get married with certain permissions or whatnot. I don't know the details on that, but I just thought it was interesting that this this crisis had been going on ever since I moved here in 2004, and I'd never noticed it.
Wow. Well, who is it that's trying to do this? Trying to stop youngins from getting married?
I don't know, a state legislator, but I don't know which one.
No, this is terrible. But I think, see, my parents always told me that they think part of the reason it didn't work out is they got married too young.
It could be.
Like Eric Gagnon, he got married too young, right? Doesn't he always say that that was part of the issue there?
Well, I think he was in his 30s.
But that's young
Not that
for
young.
that's young for him. He should have waited until he was at least 40.
Yeah, I don't know. He does say he watches adult movies.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
scandalous. Oh, have you ever been married, Dave Ridley?
No, obviously I had the wisdom to avoid any kind of commitment, and that's worked out pretty well for me. But for people who want to do it, they should be able to do it, right? The most important rights are not necessarily the ones that we pick up for that we want for ourselves, but the ones we want other people to have.
Dave, do you get lonely?
Oh no, women are too much work.
Oh my! Wow.
Okay, just an honest question on a Friday afternoon.
Jeepers. Well, all right, Dave. What are we doing about this? Do we need to do a letter writing campaign or something to prevent this?
I don't know what the status of it is now. I'm sure it's still. I don't know if the committee's voted on it yet. I doubt the House has voted on it yet. What I do is I go to nhliberty.org and they have this like a list of what's coming up, and they also send me a newsletter. So that's a good place to go to just find out what the bills are in the upcoming week. Find out about them as early as you can. Then you have the option, if you want, of going to the hearing before they've even voted and testifying. It's easy. And if you're a little later than that, you can always still email them before they take the vote. And if you miss the vote, then you can go to the whole legislature, or go to your legislator and weigh in on the general vote of the whole House.
Well, Dave, as much as I'd like to hear you go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, I gotta go. So have a great afternoon. Have a great weekend, everybody. I gotta go.
You already have to leave us?
I do.
All right, Peter.
I do. Thank you.
Peter, are you serious?
I know. I wanted to come.
Just sit down.
I know. Well, that's why
you're
I'm
running away because I just sat down.
Yeah, that's right.
What's up with that?
That's right.
What's the matter?
I saw you come in, and I'm out of here now.
Ah, jeez.
No, I'm actually trying to get out of here before Ryan Gorman gets here. I don't want to see him.
No, I think you should stay.
No, I don't want to see the guy.
Why? What's wrong with me and Ryan?
Oh, he's messed up, man.
No, he's a great person.
He's not really that great.
No, I think he's a great person.
Look what you've started, Dave Ridley.
What trouble? Oh, Dave. Yeah. Were you talking about that organization that I'm supposedly a life member of but never sends me anything?
No.
You mean the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance?
Yeah, that would be the one.
All right, we gotta let Peter get out of here. Peter,
I gotta fly. But have a great
really?
weekend.
Where are your wings?
Yes,
I don't see your rings.
No, my arms aren't tired at all.
All right, Peter White from the morning show with.
Hey, you let that hair flow this weekend, Matt.
I'm gonna let it.
I keep telling him to, right?
Letting it all hang out.
Right.
I was thinking about putting a man bun in it.
Is that the longest you ever had your hair?
Oh, jeez, no.
Really?
Haven't you seen the pictures of him when he was in the van?
Well,
with the leather plants. You got to see the leather plants.
I might have, but that's getting on. This is the longest I've seen it since I've known it.
I was thinking about, now give me your opinion, I was thinking about putting it into a man bun.
Yeah, okay.
They're very popular these days, you know?
I think that'd be great.
How do you feel about the man bun, Dave Ridley?
Don't care.
Okay.
No?
So he doesn't even care about it.
He doesn't even care about the man bun.
Don't you think that Maddie would look a little sexy? That little man bun going?
I don't think I can do a man bun. I don't think I don't have enough.
Dave doesn't sound like he's into any of that stuff.
Yeah, Dave is like.
Are you celibate?
What does that have to do with it?
No.
Oh my
no,
goodness.
but well, I guess I haven't had a girlfriend in a few years.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
I could have another
Probably
girlfriend
because you
now.
go on and on and on and on.
Why not a boyfriend?
I got other stuff to do.
How about a boyfriend? I know a few eligible guys.
Wait a second, he's not.
Oh, that's even worse.
What's wrong with that?
Oh my God!
Listen to these liberals. These
some of us
liberals
are,
trying to turn everyone gay. What?
What's wrong with being gay?
Nothing.
You could have heard a pin drop.
Give me a question or.
We're not sure yet, Dave.
All right. Well, let's.
Anyway, in answer to your question, you'd asked whether the Liberty Alliance, or you weren't getting anything from them. I get an email from them about twice a week during legislative season. So what you should probably do is just go to nhliberty.org and email them or something.
Yeah, I did that once before, but once somebody rips you off once, you don't do it twice.
Right, it's like Amway.
Exactly.
Yes.
Amway. You so nailed it. Thank you. Oh my gosh.
All right, really, guys, I got to go.
All right, Peter.
You keep saying that, but I don't think you don't really want to leave me, do you?
Well, I haven't seen Matt in a long time.
You haven't seen me in even longer, and you're going to leave me?
Yeah.
What's up with that? I play
don't
the
know.
games every morning.
You do?
I share the shows.
Did you check your belly button this morning?
I did not check my belly button
All
this
right,
morning.
then.
I will admit that.
Okay.
I will admit that. I didn't.
Dave-
But did you know my belly button's actually been removed twice and put back?
I don't want to know that. Dave,
Yeah.
Dave, do you ever get belly button lint?
Oh man, way too much information.
Okay, I'm just checking. Check right now to see if you have any.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And looky who we have here.
Oh, great.
Marvelous.
All right.
I was trying to get out of here.
Dave,
before
Now
this
you
guy
know,
got here.
Pete was threatening.
All right, hang-
looks
He was
good, too.
threatening to take off
Well, let's-
before you got here, and I made him stay.
Let's let
Artists combined.
let's let Dave.
I'm out of here.
Let's let
Yeah.
Dave make his
That's right.
exit.
What are you doing here, Peter?
Right. What are you doing here?
Hey,
All right.
Wow.
Dave-
I'll see you Monday.
Dave Ridley.
Ooh,
No.
we got some hairy
Yeah.
eyeballs going on around here.
Hang on. Dave Ridley, go ahead and give the Ridley Report a plug before we let you go.
Oh, RidleyReport.com.
All right. Thank you for the call, my friend.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
That kind of sounded like the Affleck death.
Boy, that guy can go
Was
on
that the duck?
and on and on and on.
But he's
and
actually a very
on
nice
and
guy. He really
on
is a
and
nice guy.
on and on.
What's up, Pete?
And you told two friends?
Yeah. Oh, Gorman, what's going on?
How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
Wow, weird, right?
Yeah.
It's the last
Strange.
time you saw
You
each
look
other,
good- You
guys.
actually look good.
Thanks. Yeah, I cut my own hair yesterday.
Really?
Yeah. But then my friend Kate, the hairdresser, came over today to fix it.
Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like hair.
First
that,
of all,
you cut yourself.
there's definitely some color in there.
No.
Oh no, you color your hair.
No, I don't. I sprinkle
that's
that
blacker
stuff
than
in
I've
it.
ever seen it.
Yeah, it's because I sprinkled that stuff. Remember that stuff I showed you that day?
Well, yeah,
Topics?
because I gotta
It's awesome.
be,
You
I
have
gotta
less hair.
agree. We see a little coloring in the beard.
didn't-
I'm not seeing in the
Oh
top
no,
there.
Listen, this beard. Listen, the drapes are a different color. Everything is a different color. I've got
Men have
red in
drapes?
my beard for
When
some
did men
reason.
get drapes?
Well,
I didn't know that.
Well,
you know what I was trying to insinuate. Is that why they call them drapes? Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Seriously? You
Dead
just
serious.
figured that out?
Yes.
How old are you?
Well, for 40.
well,
You're 40.
Did he just figure
Yeah.
this out?
Yeah.
Okay.
How's 50 looking these days?
I'm not 50.
Yeah,
Oh.
nobody in this room
Oh, I
is.
had no idea.
I'm only 48.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. We're 2 Olympics apart. That's right.
Right.
2 Olympics apart.
2 World Cups apart.
We both live with his parents.
2 presidents apart.
Fred Bonig sent me something to play
Maybe.
later. Tim Hawkins. It's called Man Bun Song.
Oh, yes.
So maybe that'll convince me to try the man bun.
I had
you,
one of
Fred.
those for a minute last
Did you?
year.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
last year or the year before.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you think of me doing that to Matt's hair?
It'd be all right.
I don't think I can though. I don't have enough
I don't
on
think,
top.
honestly, no one should. I mean, I think that's a.
I use that stuff too.
Do you topics? Unbelievable, right?
Yes.
I'm not
All right,
afraid to admit it.
It's doing wonders for you.
I got
guys.
him like a lifetime supply of it
Well,
on
look at
Amazon.
his hair. It grows
Right.
down to his
Matt looks
fanny.
like a lion.
Matt,
I do.
Ooh,
Yes.
I like that
Matt,
analogy.
Matt looks like a
Wow.
like a young JC.
What?
Yeah, look at him. He's got the
JC.
Really?
yeah. He's got
No.
he's got Jesus
No.
length hair. That's
No,
all I was
he
trying to
doesn't.
say.
Oh, that's
You're saying,
Oh my
JC.
God.
You're saying Matt looks like Jesus Christ?
No, I said Matt is very much like Jesus. No.
Well,
What?
that's true.
You
Is it
do
very
realize
kind?
he's in a polyamorous relationship, right?
Are you? That's awesome.
and we're
Are you kidding me?
What the
I
hell?
want
I'm
to
not
talk.
kidding.
What the
Actually,
hell?
can we-
What the
hold
hell
on.
does that even mean?
Hold on.
I just got Matt in trouble.
What does that
Hold on.
even mean?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
I want
We're
to.
not
I want to
talking
dive.
negative about
I want to
it.
dive deeper into
I
this.
do too, because
Should I leave now?
I was
He can't,
discussing
I
that
can.
with the same girl that cut my hair. I was discussing that with her because I said, "Oh, I would like you'd be a perfect second wife."
Oh.
And she said, "Oh, and your first wife is who?" And I said, "No. I just in my head I already have all my wives picked out."
Well, that's more of
How
a
many wives
Mormon
do you plan on
thing.
having? That's
Just
not
two.
the same thing.
No, just 2.
Well, okay.
Just 2.
Yeah, no, that's not the same thing. That's called polygamy.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
polyamory.
yeah, I don't
There
really
is
need
a
to get
specific
actually
difference
married.
between those things.
But
No.
thank you for saying I'm like Jesus. That's
Very much so.
well, we're both white,
And
you
you
know,
know-
which is great.
And you know who Lucifer? I mean, Peter's just like.
Oh my goodness, really?
Why would you say that?
He just
no,
called you the devil.
The Morning Star. He's the light bearer.
Oh, because he does the morning
The
show,
light
so he's
bearer.
the morning star.
The light bearer.
Ah.
Did you know there's a big difference between? I just found this out too. Between Luciferianism and Satanism.
Yes,
huge,
there is.
huge difference.
I'd rather listen to Dave Ridley.
Wow.
You know, Matt, when I asked you what you had going on today, I didn't know it was. I didn't know this was going on today.
Well,
I usually reserve that. I come to Unleashed for the ego stroke, and then I go to the morning show, obviously, to be harassed and humiliated.
Yes,
And
yes.
just,
You know,
So what has this one done to you to earn your ire?
belittled.
No,
belittled
actually, I
him
love this guy.
way
more
too
than-
much.
I love this guy a lot. He's
Yes.
a great friend of mine.
Yes,
Oh,
Very good
absolutely.
guy.
And
I wish I felt the same.
It's love.
And Peter surprised me. I didn't know he was stopping in. We might have another surprise later too. We
Who's
might have
that?
we might have someone. Well,
If we tell you, it's not a surprise.
It would be a surprise to me when you tell me. It'll be like,
I got to get out of here.
It doesn't count. You keep
some point.
No. You're not going
you
anywhere.
don't have
honey.
to.
No,
You
I
need
do.
to
I'm actually,
stay.
yeah.
Yeah, what's on your schedule today, Pete?
Yeah, where do you have to be?
First of all,
First of all, we're on the same schedule virtually.
really,
So, yeah.
Well, first of
I'm
all,
a little busy.
What I do on my free time is none of your business, right?
Oh, I would really like to dive into that. I
It
would
is
love
none of
to
your
dive
business.
into that.
So don't ask me questions like that.
Would you like to know what's
That's
on
off
my...
the table.
Oh no, I want to know.
I don't want to.
What
I don't
does
want
Peter
Ryan
do
to know
on his
what I do
free time?
on my
I know-
free time.
I know exactly what you do in your free time.
Do tell.
He doesn't know what
yes,
I do.
I do.
Well,
Right.
you already told us you
You-
double
you-
dip on the belly button lint.
Well, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to take baths.
I don't take baths. I
You
used
take
to
more?
as a kid, but,
No, I
but
remember.
as an adult, I've taken showers like a grown man.
No,
Ryan.
do you remember one of the? Do you remember one of the intros for Amsterdam? I had called you on the phone, and you picked up, and in your very sweet tone, you were like, "What?" I said, "What are you doing?" And I was recording.
That's not even a
And
real
you-
story.
And you go, "I'm in the bath, getting ready for the show."
In the bath. That wasn't me.
He said,
That,
"Bah."
no, that was the other. That was the other guy.
You can see. If
No,
anybody can see the
I
look
believe
on
you
his
were
face,
mimicking the
he
other
is
guy
totally
when you
him.
said it like that.
Hey, listen, guys. I gotta go. Ryan's here. I gotta go. I can't be in the same. I just can't be in the same damn
I'm
room
sorry. You
as
have to
Gorman
stay.
anymore.
You know you have to stay.
Wow.
I do love you, Gorman.
Love you too, buddy.
All right, Matt. Thank you.
Peter, you are always welcome
Jenny,
here. Thank you.
Love you.
And I think I know who's gonna come in after.
Hey, I'm gonna see you all
okay.
next week, Pete.
No, you're not
Every
going to
day.
see me all next
I'll
week.
see
You're not
you.
invited to the show.
Yeah,
we got a very busy
Are
week.
you
Taking him out for
Are you
dinner?
We have the
Indian
mayor
giving?
coming in, Ryan.
What?
I don't want the mayor to think I hang out with guys like you.
Oh, I don't. Listen, I don't even. I'm not unless it was former Mayor Ted Gatzis.
I got to go.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. Vamoosh.
He's running.
See you later,
Peter
big guy.
is running from the building.
All right. The
I've
great.
never seen him run like that.
I know, right?
I-
There's got a little bit of a waddle thing
No,
going
he's
on
gotta
there.
outrun
There's
the
a
Grim
duck
Reaper,
thing going
so.
on today. There's like a theme.
All right. The great Peter White from the morning show with Peter White. Thank you, Peter.
Later, buddy. Good to see you. See you
Always-
Monday.
Always nice to see Peter.
All right, Tuesday it is then.
What do you mean we're off
I'll see.
Monday?
That's a head
No,
fake
he
to
was,
get
he
me
was
not
trying
to show
to.
up. I'll
yeah.
see you Monday.
You get to show up bright and early with your bells on.
It's usually usually when I'm there, it's because I took a nap that day.
You know what you got to do to get them is get yourself a nice little small jar of mayonnaise, and like clean out the mayonnaise, keep it nice and clean.
I got a thing.
Throw
of
some
mayonnaise.
vanilla pudding in there. Sit down for the show and just take a spoon and just sit there with your mayonnaise and eat it. Yeah, it'll throw them.
That
It'll
is
throw
disgusting.
them. That
and
is
it
totally
actually,
awesome.
That is funny.
That's an awesome. That's an
That's
awesome
gross.
prank. It's a great
Yeah,
prank.
that is
Disgusting, but I like it. Can we talk about the polyamorous?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, I don't think. But I don't
Off
think.
the air then. Sometime.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. But isn't it weird though that we were talking about Robert Kraft yesterday?
Yes, dude. How
Okay,
funny
that's
is
got me
that?
really upset too.
What's that?
That that this happened. I mean,
Well, let's look at this. First of all, I don't care about prostitution if the woman is.
if you're
if
talking
she's
about
consensual.
two consenting adults,
Yes,
not
I'm
sex
cool with that.
trafficking, not trapped in by somebody, I
but-
might give you a leeway on that. But
Yeah, but the problem is that exactly what you just said. That therein lies the problem, is the human trafficking aspect of it, which is horrible.
Yes.
And we're not immune here in New England at
Oh,
all.
no, that's
There was an
mm-mm.
actual case here in the state of New Hampshire that was a huge federal bust in sex crimes and sex trafficking of young ladies. And it's actually still used as a teaching tool for the FBI
Wow.
to teach agents about busting is sex trafficking. You live your life every day, run into stores and whatever, and you don't think about something like that actually happening in the United States. And unfortunately, not only does it happen, it's very prevalent, and it's everywhere. It's in New England, it's in California, it's in the North, it's in the South. There is no place in the United States that is untouched by this horrible thing that people do to other human beings.
Yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of people use it as, that's their reason. And actually, I don't know if you heard it earlier, I had a discussion with a caller about this. People use that as a reason for why they think we have to continue to prosecute prostitution, because, they just kind of mix it all together, and it's not all the same thing.
It's not. But I stand, my view on the prostitution thing is the exact same as it is with drugs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make them legal.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Absolutely.
And then you eliminate the black market.
Exactly.
Essentially,
you wouldn't entirely eliminate the black market when it comes to sex.
And you never will with a lot of stuff, but you'd certainly make it a lot harder.
But we got to be careful about muddying the waters. I mean, we've seen that happen here in our own state. There was a bill introduced in the Criminal Justice Committee to criminalize and take it out of a mere ticket to make money from from basically selling people. Whether you're selling the human being or you're selling the pornography on film, right now in the state of New Hampshire, it's a simple friggin' ticket. That's all it is. So they were trying to strengthen that to make it, a felony. And we got these idiots, literal idiots, and most of them men, mind you. Sorry, guys, but most of them men, who went up to our New Hampshire State House and literally got this bill to not be voted upon and held in the committee because they want prostitution to be legal. So a bill that goes after sex trafficking and is literally part of our sex trafficking statutes was shut down by people putting that crap into this conversation.
Yeah, it's not... I haven't seen this bill, so I don't know. I'm just sorry. I'm still shocked that I just found out that men are mostly responsible for prostitution. I had no idea. I thought it was an even split.
Well, would you like to go up to the State House and see how many men signed in opposition of a bill to increase the penalties on sex trafficking?
Obviously, it's mostly men.
This bill is literally a paragraph long in our sex trafficking statutes. It's literally in the sex trafficking statutes, and it's a mere penalty. It's a little ticket. That's all these guys get. And a bunch of men went up there. 90% men went up there and made sure this bill did not get a fair vote on the House floor this year. And instead, they're putting it in their back pockets and not going to do anything with it.
Let me make sure I'm following you correctly. Men went up there to say that it shouldn't be legal?
Men went up there and said prostitution should be legal, we should take this bill that's about going after sex traffickers and about our sex trafficking laws, literally out of the law of that dictates that. It's not like it was another area law. They literally went up there on this bill that was going to make the penalty harsher, and they got it basically killed with a retention because they want the bill to be turned into a study bill to study legalization of prostitution. That is the exact reason that their paid lobbyists gave to the national and international media. That is the same reason that these men went up there, approximately 90% of the people who testify, because they want prostitution legalized. Do you see why I get so angry about them mixing these issues?
Oh, you're getting angry? I didn't know. I didn't notice.
This isn't angry, actually.
No, I think. Listen,
I saved that for the paint.
I think that. Listen, I think you're always going to find a way to say that something's going to affect something negatively or whatever. Just like the people that say, like, well, legalizing drugs is the way. No, but you certainly get a hold on it. You get a way better hold on it.
Right.
You don't have people, girls walking up and down Manchester Street from what I hear. That's where they are.
So introduce a bill that's standalone. We want to legalize adult prostitution between an adult and two consenting adults that want to exchange money for that. Let you have a real bill that introduces that and have that discussion. You don't go after a bill that's about stopping sexual predators in the guise of wanting to legalize prostitution. That's exactly what they did.
It doesn't sound like the bill was specifically against trafficking.
It is. I could literally
but that might
show
be your
it to you.
interpretation.
No, it's not an interpretation. It's under
of
the statute for sexual trafficking. It's literally, and the bill literally is one paragraph. It is to change the penalty for buying someone under the age of 18 specifically.
Okay. Well, wait a second.
For the purposes
do
of
I
sex
think
or paying for pornography, making
Well,
money
yeah,
off
no
of
kidding.
pornography
Nobody-
for under 18. This is the bill that
So
they're
you're
trying
saying everyone
to use.
that was up there was,
They went up
was
there.
a bunch of pedophiles?
They went. Well, I don't know what they are, but
Well,
they
if
went
you're
up
sa-
there
if
and they
you're
got
stating-
that bill stopped.
If you're saying that that's all the bill was,
For the
was
reason-
for people under 18,
Correct.
Then okay, so it was.
That is
I'm supposed
exactly
to believe
what
a
that
bunch
bill
of.
is. I will show it to you. I will
a bunch
show
of
it to you.
pedophiles, openly
Well, at least
pedophiles.
one of them did. He's getting paid for it too. What do you call that?
What do I call what?
The lobbyist getting paid to take that bill that's about sex trafficking under 18s
Listen, what
and
do I
turn
call
it into an
lobbyists?
argument over
Scumbags.
legalizing prostitution.
Man, that's what I call lobbyists in general. Scumbags.
Pigs? Not all of them. There's a few good ones out there. I've met a few good ones.
Yeah, okay. I've met
I'll
a
be
few
honest.
good cops too, but
Yeah, there's good
No, I
cops.
mean, well, to be
yeah, there
fair,
are. And I
Yeah.
made a statement yesterday that unfortunately for somebody like me, it's just police are I have to look at it now as it's a profession that you are not a good person until proven otherwise.
Oh,
Ooh.
wow.
Wow, that's pretty tight.
Because
Did something happen?
Absolutely. Have you ever been arrested for attention deficit hyperactive disorder?
I
'Cause
got a speeding ticket when I was 16 and a half. That's the only trouble with the law I've ever been in.
I've been
I swear.
arrested.
I've had parking
I've been
tickets.
arrested twice and never charged with a crime after.
Yeah.
But arrested because my normal behavior, the way I am as a human being, is deemed suspicious. Like, you're moving around a lot, guy. What's your problem? Like, what are you doing? And it's like, and then I get mad, and I'm like, dude, nothing. I have 80. And then next thing I know,
Yeah.
I got somebody's boat in the back of my head for no reason.
A boat?
So, a boot.
Oh, I thought you said
I
boat.
thought he said a boat,
I was
too.
confused.
No, sorry. Sorry, it must be my New England accent. I'm sorry.
Well, plus,
the heck was that?
aren't you originally
It was a
from
southern accent.
Aren't you originally from
Oh,
Canada?
Lord, don't
so
do
you,
that.
you
I
say
don't know what that's all
you
about.
say like a
but-
boot and
I don't know what that's all about. Matt. No,
Eh,
but why did you smell the maple syrup on me?
No, but Glenn R.J. Willett told me that you were roommates back in Van Buren, Ontario, or
Ooh.
something.
I
He
didn't
let
know
that
about
cat's
this.
out of the bag. I
Yes,
guess.
How was that
yes.
adventure?
Yeah, that must have been
Yeah,
something.
well, you know, I like my gentleman unique. You know,
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I can understand that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
unique he is. Yeah, so I think that.
I like my gentleman unique.
And that's not to say by.
Did you get
by
him
the
some
way,
coconuts?
By the way, that doesn't mean if I get pulled over or listen, I'm never rude. First of all, I'm never rude, never disrespectful. I'm not a cop agitator.
Right.
I'm a big supporter of filming the police, 100%.
Yes.
That's just called
I am
keeping
too.
people
I agree.
accountable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I'm with
don't
you.
necessarily agree with being rude and getting in their face and trying egging them on to do something. I think
Of
that's
course not.
because
No.
you don't know. Maybe listen, the guy's could be a nice guy, but my whole thing yesterday when I posted something about this, my whole thing was that the people that say, well, just do what they're asking you to do. If you have nothing to hide, just do. Because no, every time a word comes out of your mouth, it's just strengthening the chances of you getting in trouble for something. And it's like, well, if you're not doing anything wrong, you won't get in trouble. Yes, someone like me will. Because all of a sudden now I look suspicious because I'm me. Which I understand.
right.
It is a little suspicious if you're me.
You're very energetic.
Yeah,
and
man.
you're,
And I get my thoughts skip from here to there. I stutter sometimes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
no. Looking at this from a serious perspective, have you ever thought about asking your medical provider for a travel letter that explains your medical illness to people who wouldn't ordinarily know? You have what's called an invisible disease. It's
Yeah,
not something that somebody can see.
But here's the thing. It's also not a cop's business what my medical conditions are.
Well, that's not true. When there's an accident, for example,
All right,
and there's a
we're
suspicion
not-
of
that's two
driving under
different
the
things, Jen. It's
influence.
two different things. If
A
there's
okay.
Hold on. If there's an accident, that's a
Cop
different
pulls
thing.
over somebody for being looking like they're swerving in the road. The person's slurring their speech, but then they happen to notice they have a sweetness to their breath, and they think, "Oh, gee, dude, are you diabetic?" And they figure out the person's diabetic and having a diabetic emergency. Cops are actually trained about medical issues because they have to be. They have
they
to be.
should be, and
They
I
are.
couldn't disagree with that statement more.
I have been on scene to I don't know how many things when I've seen a cop go, do they have any medical issues we should know about? I have heard it numerous times. Is there any medical issues we should know about? And
Here's
when
the
people
thing,
are honest and tell us that there's an issue, it gets handled totally different. But if you say, nah, I'm fine, and then you turn around and go, yo, man, why are you harassing me or whatever? Or what?
See, now you're
gonna
assuming
keep me
that's how I
sitting
would
here?
respond to
No,
that.
I'm saying, or if you're being like super happy, super active, super hyper, that's hard for another person to deal with sometimes. And if you can have an ability to show them that you have a medical issue, maybe that helps. Or maybe wear a medical alert.
But that's not even like that's a different story. I think if there's if something has happened, like I'm swerving or something, that's a different story.
Well, were you pulled over, or were you just stopped walking down the street?
The thing I'm talking about in particular right now, I wasn't pulled over.
Okay.
I wasn't. There was nothing. My point when I was talking about this yesterday was that the best course of action for me would have been to, and it's unfortunate because it comes across as rude, and I don't want to be rude, but I don't answer questions.
Right.
That really should have been my only answer. I don't answer questions.
Well, that's how a lot of libertarians would instruct you to.
Yeah,
you know,
well, it's
or what
and that's
they'll
how
say
I,
is
and
the
that's
answer
how I
a
would
question
instruct,
with a question.
That's how I would instruct anyone with you know.
Well, the cop says, "Why did
with
I pull
what
you
I have,
over?" I don't
that's
know,
how I would
officer.
instruct
Why? You don't have to be. Yeah, you exactly.
No,
you don't have to be.
Even saying that, I will no longer do. It is simple and direct. I don't answer questions.
But don't you think though, if that's the first thing you say to the cop when they walk up to the
Right
window,
now,
don't you
they're
think
gonna
they're now going to find more infractions?
It
to get
doesn't
you for?
matter.
Aren't they more?
It's
Aren't they less likely to?
That's what you would
maybe-
think, and this is exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah?
That's what you would think.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, I'm asking.
And I'm being serious too. You would think that, not the case, not my experience.
I can say that I've been pulled over since I was 16 and a half, but I don't know why. I don't know
First
if
of
it
all,
was
you're
something about my
female.
demeanor.
You're female. Most police are men, so you're at an advantage.
I've been pulled over by
Yeah.
women too, and they've
Okay,
been kind
so-
enough to go like, "Oh, I pulled you over because your taillight was out, or I pulled you over because you were
Sure.
doing a little fast. Slow it down."
Sure. Listen, but you're at an advantage right out of the gate for being female. It's one of the very few things females are at the advantage.
that's probably true. Yeah, I can see that.
100%.
I can see that.
And I'm going to sit here and tell you it's one of the very few things women are at an advantage of. One of the
I
few.
don't think that. I think that that's been true. That I would agree with you that that's been true in the past, but I don't think that's necessarily true in current society because I've watched those videos on
Why,
YouTube all the
did-
time, and
have
there's a
they been
lot of women
removing
getting
the penis
arrested
of
there.
men lately?
Why do we need
Because I'm
more
pretty
women's?
sure that's
Why
gonna
do we
stay
need
the
a bigger
same.
women's prison if we're not arresting women? Why do we need another one?
We're talking. Hey, hold on. Whoa.
See, you're sitting there saying women don't get arrested, women don't get in trouble.
First of all, that's
No,
not what I said.
that's not what he said.
Not what I said at all. And second of all, that is totally different. If they're committing an actual crime, something like that, that's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about you're at an advantage when you get pulled over. If it's for your taillight being out, you're at an advantage 100% for being a female. Absolutely. Something small, little infraction, you smile. Like,
Yeah.
Listen, most police are men, and most men succumb to smiles from women. I mean,
I
it's
feel like
a
I'm
natural.
getting mansplained.
No, I've heard retired.
Wait a minute.
I've
Don't
heard.
give me
No,
that. Hold on. Don't give me that crap that you're
Well,
getting
you're saying,
mansplained.
you're giving me the crap that all a woman has to do is
Now
give a
you
little
take- now
smile
you're
and
taking
wink,
that
and hey, the
scorned
cop's gonna
woman
let her right
approach.
off.
You're taking
Where
that-
are my police officers? Somebody call in and give some sense.
No, please don't.
Oh yeah.
No, but I've heard retired cops say what Ryan is saying. Yeah.
I think any
the fact that you
man
just
who's
said I'm
halfway
mansplaining
decent
it
can
to you is
literally be.
ridiculous.
My son's has been pulled over and told me about it and told me how it went and been given a warning and
I'm
went
not
off. And he
saying
doesn't
every
look like a woman. That's for damn sure.
I'm not saying every experience I've had has been negative. I've some good friends that are cops, and I made that statement yesterday too.
I'm not saying they're. I know.
I will wait until you're done. Are you sure? Now you have to remember, I have ADHD, and in my thoughts, I'll forget what I was saying. So,
I'm sorry.
No, it's
No, go
apology
ahead.
accepted. I just
No,
don't,
seriously, go ahead.
I just don't want to mansplain anything. No, listen, I have friends that are cops, okay? And they are awesome dudes, and they are great cops. But guess what? They're friends of mine that I know them personally.
Right.
My experience, and I have been in situations where I've had to deal with police, and they have been magnificent. They have been unbelievably professional, awesome. you can tell that they actually became cops because they are good people and wanted to help.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
But I've also had the experience of quite a few times of dealing with the, hey, look how much power I have over you type of guys. And so don't kid yourself that there's not a ton of those type of police, because there are.
They're out there too, absolutely.
They are.
Yeah.
And
there's good and bad in every single profession
absolutely.
on the face
But
of
guess
this
what?
earth.
Guess what? And this is I'm stealing this from Chris Rock right now. But this is a great. Yeah, there's some bad apples. Yeah, you think Delta Airlines hires bad apples that maybe don't know how to land a plane the right way? No. So if you don't know how to act accordingly as a public servant and someone that holds a little tool that can take your life in 2 seconds, there's no room for bad apples if you're a cop.
There's no room. Well,
there's no room for it.
I would then argue with you that there's also no room for bad in emergency
Don't
medicine.
you take that tone with
in
me.
emergency medicine.
Don't you take that
I had
womany
the
tone with
ability
me.
as an EMT to take your life. If I did something the wrong way, if I drilled into your leg,
and you would lose your job instantly if you did. If you were a doctor and it turns out that you did something
doctors that get penalized, they don't necessarily lose their licenses,
well,
and neither do nurses.
Do they lose?
Some do, some don't.
Yeah, but do they lose their license if it's blatantly obvious that they? I decided to give them administer this drug, which I knew would probably kill him. But you're going to lose your job for that. Police somehow are given a lot
So what
of
you're
leeway.
saying is
The
that
thin
a
blue
police
line.
officer that kills somebody
I'm going to
and
get her
is
all revved up,
absolutely...
so it's a real pain in the ass for you when you get home.
Oh, no, he doesn't have anything to worry about with me, honey. He gets
Just me, I
whatever
guess.
he wants.
Wow. Boy, what a yardstick over there? Jeez.
It's the long hair.
No, it's the long something, buddy.
Oh,
I don't know if it's
big
there.
arms.
No, I'm Irish, dude. It's not the
That's
long
so am
something.
I, dude.
Trust
And
me.
that's not. Well, I'm Polish too, though. So.
Oh, see, I'm
It's his
yeah.
muscular, it's just perfect.
Well, I do have
jeez, my
rippling.
God.
I do have rippling
It's getting
muscles.
steamy over here.
Oh, I'll take him home and pick him apart.
I'm gonna vomit.
But no, I think you know what with police, because everyone kind of wants to make it into a binary. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people kind of want to make it into a binary thing. Either have to be pro police or anti police. I think kind of like what you were saying. I think there's good cops. I think there's bad cops, and a million shades of gray in between. And,
Yeah.
And I think what probably happens, and this isn't in any way excusing anyone's bad behavior. I don't want anyone to take it this way, but my theory has always been that a lot of them probably start out as really wanting to protect and serve, and they get jaded.
Listen,
Same thing happens in
rough-
emergency medicine. I
Yeah.
don't know how many times I saw it with EMS.
Yeah.
People get jaded. They get burned out. They're looking at a patient and they're not really getting a good bead on what's going on because they're looking at it going, drug seeker.
Yeah, and I don't think
like
television. I don't think television helps the portrayal either, because I think that puts a false image of what cops do into a kid's head, and then the kid, I'm going to become a cop. I'm going to become a cop, and then you get out there and you find out it has. Yeah, dude, it's nothing like being Starsky
You
and
use
Hutch.
the analogy. You use the analogy of an airline pilot.
Yeah.
And realistically, that's a terrible analogy simply because there are nowhere near the number of airline pilots that there are to police officers.
Yeah, there's
and
too
it is
many
a very
police, in my
different.
opinion.
It's a very different hiring pool when you're hiring a pilot for a limited amount of seats for that versus trying to get hire cops in majority of your major metropolis areas aren't actually up to their par of police officers per citizens. It's not the majority. There's a shortage of first responders across the board happening in every state. We're short on nurses. We're short on firefighters.
And that's really
EMTs,
scary.
Police
You want to know why that's
officers.
really scary? Because now you're hiring people that are not qualified to do that job.
Maybe we need to work on that issue instead of
Well,
badmouthing
wait, if
people
we're
all
going to
the
start
time.
working on
Maybe we need
issues,
to
let's
start
go all
working
the
on
way
the
up
better
on
issues.
why there's really a problem in the first place.
Because we don't offer enough educational opportunities and people
Right,
have
and-
a hard
and-
time
and-
getting there. So
and
we got to
that's
solve
just
the
the way they want it.
educational issue. You can't become a nurse unless you can get in a nursing school. The average nursing school opens up 100 freshman positions. That's why we're in a nursing crisis. That's why we have a shortage of nurses.
I think in law enforcement, though, you need to, like, this is one of the...
what Norway does?
Law enforcement,
Well-
again, you have a shortage in law enforcement. You don't have enough going into education, and you
Well,
don't have enough to bring people in.
What I was going to say
because
is...
people don't get paid, dude.
But part of the
there's a
problem...
whole bunch of
Do you know how much
reasons.
money I made as an EMT to save people's lives?
But part of the problem, too, in law
Yeah, but I don't
enforcement
think
is...
that's why you get into that line of work, is it?
No, it isn't.
No, exactly.
Got into it to save lives.
But in law enforcement, if we didn't have law enforcement worrying about busting prostitutes and fighting the drug war,
I will
and all
agree
this,
with
If
you
you
there.
started taking away the black market, then
Right.
all this stuff
Yeah.
run
I
rampant,
absolutely
then you
agree
wouldn't have
with
a
you.
problem.
Yeah.
That I agree with you, hands down. I would love to see more cops
If you didn't have
patrolling.
public schools running it so that it only fits the needs of like one type of
Agreed.
child, you wouldn't have a lot of these problems. You wouldn't end
Agreed.
up with people like me if I didn't mean to make that sound like I'm a terrible person.
You're not.
I mean,
You're
like,
part of a generation, though, that where a lot of these things got missed, and
Yeah.
parents didn't know.
Yeah,
My
no,
dad
I
didn't
agree.
know to look for stuff
no,
like
no,
this.
I get that.
So, yeah.
I get that. But listen, we're coming into a new age anyway, as you know this. Things are changing. Pretty soon, the people that are like me are going to be the people that are more like sought after for different kinds of lines of work. I think everything's shifting.
There's a young lady on the autism spectrum that was just sworn in
Yeah,
as a lawyer. She
It's
passed the bar
fantastic.
exam
Yeah.
in the state of
Yep.
Florida.
Yeah.
It absolutely can be done. And I bet you money it's because she got a better educational opportunity than you or I did.
Yeah, I think that more
Because
should be-
what was going on with her was recognized. And it was taught to her in a better way than the rote learning methods that we grew up with.
Yeah.
What were you starting to say about Norway, though? I wasn't
Oh
sure.
yeah, in Norway, I think it's in Norway or Finland, one of those Viking countries.
I'm part of that.
I have cousins that are
Yeah.
dual citizens in Sweden.
I got family in the Netherlands.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No, now we're talking about the Dutch.
There
I
we
love
go.
the Dutch. No. So in Norway, we're gonna
And
go with
Poland.
Norway. I think it's Norway. So you become a cop. You don't get a gun for like 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, you don't get a gun until you pass they're unbelievably well trained with their firearms and stuff like that. Because I think the whole if the cop feels his life was in jeopardy, he was justified to shoot. Dude, that scares somebody like me. Like, so if I'm like, dude, I am lucky, and thank God these two officers had a great deal of control, because I did something really stupid right behind here one night, like back in 2013 or something. It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't around. It was like 5 years ago. But it's long enough. That,
Yeah.
But I had screw it. I've already paid my penalty. But anyway, we were out back before the show, and there's like 6 or 7 of us, a couple of the producers, and I think Slim made his way back inside already, so he didn't get in trouble. But we were passing the old peace pipe around, and it was the summer, and we didn't hear him coming, and two bike cops like pull, hey, what's going on? And I ended up being the one holding the hot potato when they showed up.
Yeah.
And I kind of just tucked it under my arms, like crossed my arms, like I was standing there,
You can't
like
smell
that was
it.
gonna work. And they were like, "Dude, what's in your hand, bud?" And I was like, "Nothing." And like, so we did this for a couple seconds. They're like, "Dude, what is in your hand?"
While your armpit is on
Yeah,
fire.
and like, so I again, I thought this would work, because 2013, I was at the peak of my geniuses. And I took my hands out like this, and I go, just a lighter, dude, and I dropped it, and then I took my hand like this, and I know we're on radio and no one can see this, but I reached my hand back like I was gonna throw, because I did. I reached back and I went like this and threw it, trying to roof the thing.
Yeah.
And when I did that, they both backed up and pulled their guns and were like, "What the are you doing?" And,
wow.
and as soon
You
as
are
they
so
did that,
lucky.
I realized what I had just done, which was reach forward as if I was going to punch a cop.
Right.
And I like, or
And for all
stab
they
them,
knew,
or
you
for-
had a knife in your hand. Exactly.
And I just turned white, because I realized, like, first of all, I realized if I was black, I probably would have been shot immediately. Sorry, that's just the way it is. That's how, unfortunately, That's how young black men have to live their lives in this country right now, which is horrible. But I realize that you don't believe in white privilege.
You're not going to get in
there.
an argument with me when it comes to the racial disparity with our prison systems.
It's horrible.
But I am going to point out one thing to you.
What's that?
So, are you saying that these two were good cops then? That the result of good cops realizing a situation didn't take your life?
First of all, these two in particular were not good cops. That what they were was clearly trained enough not to shoot first, ask questions later. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
But
you don't think that makes them good people that they didn't pull the trigger on you?
I'll tell you right now. One of them was one of the guys that beat the snot out of Chris Miklovich. So no, he's not a good cop. He's a dirtbag.
I'll tell you what. If you'd pulled back on me like that and I was carrying, I probably would have popped you.
Yeah. Thank God you're not a cop. Thank God you're not.
Maybe if I was a cop, I would have been trained a little bit differently, so maybe that wouldn't be my first reaction. But in self-defense, it's an entirely different animal.
What I am saying is they would have been justified. They would have been in that situation. Because they had restraint,
you're sitting here to tell me this story.
That was my point.
So that makes them good.
It doesn't make them good. It makes them good in one instance. It makes them well trained in one instance.
So
this is going to trump the fact that this particular cop beat the snot out of Chris Miklovich.
No, I don't know anything about that.
He purposely squeezed my handcuffs even tighter so the blood was getting cut off to the point where I was like really screaming. They shut the audio off in the police. He's like, no one can hear you. And I say to my friend Jeff, I go, somebody needs to. I go, shoot. I gotta call Nicole. And he gets behind me while I'm standing there and whispers in my ear, "Don't worry, I'll go tell her when I'm over there later." Trying to egg me on into getting me to do something.
That's terribly wrong.
Yeah, so they're not good cops. Don't tell me they're good cops. They suck. Those guys sucked. And then one of them, the other one, was one of the ones that with the other instance with Moose out front when his car got towed. That was the other one. That particular cop called me retard twice. Is that a good cop?
No,
Somebody
that's
uses
wrong.
the word retard?
I was just simply pointing out the fact that you're saying that they're innately evil and that you did something that would normally get you shot, and you didn't.
You're literally putting words in my mouth. I never
you're saying
said
they're
that.
bad and evil. You did say that it was
Did I say that?
I don't think you said evil.
No, I said they were bad cops.
Yeah.
You said they were. First of all, I wasn't going to bring any of that aspect of it.
I was just going by the situation that was at hand.
In this particular situation,
you were in a situation where you were potentially a threat to them, and they didn't know better.
That was my point. Is that in that instance they acted
appropriately?
More than appropriately. That was my point. They were well trained. Right, but you said they're good cops, and I just needed to point out that actually, no, they're not.
There's other data that might support that they're not so good. Yeah,
I'm just going by this one. I don't know anything about
these
guys.
And all I
don't know anything about these other
not
situations. I'm going by that one situation that you are describing,
and that's what I was saying.
And I
in
think
that
it's
one
kind of a
instance,
poor example for bad cop.
In that one particular instance, they acted appropriately, more than appropriately. I agree with that. But you made statements, see, they are good cops. And my point was, no, these two guys in particular are not good cops. They happen to not kill me, which is awesome, I guess.
I mean, it's great that you can sit here next to me today and you're not like in a ghost form or something,
it's
hovering around
believe
the
me,
studio.
I appreciate it because I actually, like a year after that, I really turned the franchise around and Gorman stock started to rise after that.
Good.
But
if only you'd kind of turned the other way and thrown it or something, you know?
Dude, I know.
Because that's not a bad instinct. It's just if you had done it right.
Or just drop it. How about just drop it and put your foot over
well,
it?
no, you throw it
how
and
about
then
just take your licks for smoking a bowl behind a building and it's not really that big deal. That's the instance that, by the way, that Joe Kelly.
But that was before decrim.
Remember I told you Joe Kelly was, and I'll never not love this guy. That's the instance where he got a felony dropped for me.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah,
so,
you went to bat for you.
That
Joe
should have never
Kelly's
been
the
a
man.
felony
You'll
to
never
begin
hear me
with.
say anything
It should
bad
have never
about
been a
that dude.
felony to begin with. That's
Love
ridiculous.
that guy.
But
I agree with that.
But that was pre-decrim, right? When this was 2013.
Right, yeah, I got
So the
decriminalized
cops
like
are doing
shortly
their job.
thereafter, I believe. And I was like, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We just got decrim only, a year or two ago?
No, it was more than that, I think,
Was
right?
it really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Can't be too long.
It's got to be maybe 2015 at the latest, I think.
Hello to Ed Murphy in the Facebook live chat. Ed says, if you have a real medical issue that makes you appear to be a threat or under the influence, why is it unreasonable to have a medical letter of explanation? Seems like common sense to save you and the police from further hassle.
I can respect that.
Let me
I
just
can
say
respect
that I
that.
gave the answer for that because I carry a travel letter.
Right,
Because I have a rare disease.
But I'm gonna give my. I'm not a libertarian, but I have a lot of libertarian views.
Yeah.
Because it's not a cop's. You need to be better trained. Listen, do I smell like are my eyes all dyed? Like, am I giving off any? No. You're going off an instinct that I talk fast and I'm all over the road. That's my point. I understand where that guy's coming from. That makes a lot of sense. Yes.
I see his point and your
exactly.
point, though. But I see your point,
too.
Yeah.
Very reasonably put and reasonably said. And I can't really disagree with that, dude.
But if you had a medical alert on, a simple medical alert, instead of a letter, how about a medical alert that simply says what's wrong with you? Because cops are trained, as are every single first responder, to look for a medical alert. You see a medical alert, you know you need to look at it and get an idea of what's going on, or at least try and figure it out. It's what we're trained to do. We've been trained to do it for eons, decades, longer than you and I have been here.
In this particular instance, anyway,
it's protecting you.
And you know what, though? This particular instance really was a case of a bunch of new. I mean, there's 5 of them eventually that decided to come out. It's a very small town I was in. By the way, it was also in a town that's has by far the most corrupt police department in the state of New Hampshire, and it's actually documented. You can look at that.
I think I actually know what you're talking about. Then
probably do.
They've lost numerous lawsuits.
Their chief just got felony charges for skimming, clocking in for hours that he wasn't there and working at his other side.
No
business.
way, really?
Yep.
I did not know about that.
But it was a bunch of like 23, 24-year-old cops, a couple of troopers and stuff like that. And the first guy that pulled me over, or not, I wasn't pulled over. The first guy that showed up, and asked me what I was doing because I was pulled over on the side of the road. And I said, well, I'm just headed to my buddy's house. I'm up here. I'm just started to feel like I was falling asleep. So I'm calling them to see if one of them will come scoop me up here. And I'm just going to leave my car, here if that's all right, and have somebody else drive it back, whatever. And he, I voluntarily, I shouldn't have done this either. I just handed him my license to him. I was like, yeah, here's my license. Because, again, I had nothing to hide.
Right.
I was not doing anything wrong. And I thought by being forthcoming and all of that was the right thing to do. Like, if I was up to something, why would I be telling you I just felt myself falling asleep? Why would I tell you that?
Right.
Why wouldn't I just...
It's a common excuse. Honestly, it's a common excuse. It's used by people who are under the influence. I'm sorry, but it is.
Yeah, but I wasn't pulled over.
I've seen it in the ER. Oh, I'm just tired. Really?
Yeah.
And their blood level is like 235.
Yeah, you want to know the beauty of this one, too, is, first of all, I had a breathalyzer in my car to start it and drive. That's the only way I can drive.
Oh, okay.
And not one of these 7 picked up on it until I was in handcuffs in the back of the car, and I finally said to one of them, after I had passed their tests, which I had first told them, I said, listen, I can't take those tests. I'm going to fail them, and here's why.
Yeah.
And I told them, I have executive function disorder. I have a nonverbal learning disorder. I've got like all these, like I can't follow directions if you just like say. There's a bunch of reasons why I'm not going to be able to pass those tests. And he says, well, there's other tests we can give you, after I said no like 10 times. And he's like, well, you're refusing? I said, I'm not refusing. I'm just letting you know that I can't pass those for this particular reason.
Do you see why a medical alert would be great in that situation?
Yeah, you see why non-a-hole cops would be great in that situation?
I don't know if I'm going to agree with you on that one. No offense, buddy, but obviously you had a DUI
Don't you
to have
buddy
a
me.
friggin'
Don't you take that tone
friggin' intoxilizer
all right?
in your car.
Don't make
you
me
can't start your
mansplain this.
car
Let me mansplain
without
this.
blowing into a tube. You had
Are you taking a condescending tone? Are you taking a condescending tone with an addict?
Suspicion.
Are you taking a
If I'd
condescending
seen
tone
that
with
in my car,
addiction?
in your car, I would have had reasonable suspicion that
That's
you were
not
under the
reasonable
influence of
suspicion.
something.
First of all, these
People
guys
know how to get around the intoxilizer.
Can you ever get a word in edgewise with this one? Holy smokes!
Excuse me? What? Excuse me?
Oh,
You want
then
to
the
try
look.
that one again? Go
Listen,
for it.
Wow.
You won't make it out
I'm
of this room
stoking
alive.
the fire, Maddie. I love it.
By the way, hello to John Midas Manning in the Facebook live chat.
Stoking the fire.
DJ
here, Bob.
Midas, host of
My girlfriend's
Late Night
over there
Delight.
laughing her butt off at us.
Love that kid. Loved Midas.
Yes, yes.
Good fella. Now,
Well,
back to you, little Missy.
Little Missy, be my guest, buddy, and see how far you get.
I don't think I'll get far.
Not at
because,
all.
You know, these
You'll get about
broads,
as far
they
as
can
I
get a
can
little
throw you.
crazy and start getting a little stabby if they get a knife or something.
Oh, my goodness.
Excuse me, you got a problem with knives now?
No, I don't. That was a joke. You get the joke. You get why I made that joke, right? Knife lady?
Nobody's ever said that to me. Jeez, can you
Oh,
be original?
here she goes with the eye rolling.
You don't got anything original, really? Me and knives?
Hey, listen, you're sitting next to the original. Right?
There you go.
The original. I forgot what I was saying.
I'm invoking Hoppy now.
Oh, wow.
He was trying to justify why a cop wouldn't have reasonable suspicion with somebody who
And I
has
was
a
gonna
DUI
explain
and
that,
a
but I couldn't get a
toxilizer
word
in their
in.
car. Come on!
I was going to explain. But,
You're coming from a bad spot to begin with.
No, I'm not. It's, and you might understand if I was able to tell you.
Go for it.
Are you sure, though?
I'm very sure.
Do you think that...
Oh, tell me.
She's going to punch me eventually.
Well, we are almost out of time.
No, let him tell you.
Because it is Friday.
Well, we can't. It'll take 45
He's
minutes
not
with the way
here.
you talk over me. Assault.
All right. Well, we do have to go. It is 5:30. Of course, on Fridays we wrap up a bit early because Rob Azevedo will be coming in to do Granite State of Mind live at 6 p.m. But this has been wonderful, Mr. Gorman. Always nice to see you.
Always nice to see you.
Yes, yes.
Jen, not so much, but... no,
Excuse me?
I'm just kidding.
Hey,
I love you.
I know
You're
how
awesome.
to have a debate and not take it personal.
No, you
you
know how to
may take it
filibuster, that's for
personally,
sure.
but oh, I know how to do a lot of things, honey.
Oh my! All right, and thank you to the great Peter White for stopping in earlier from
Jeez,
the
you
morning
throw that
show with
great
Peter White.
around quite a
I know, right? He
little-
ran
I
away
thought it
and
was the great
everything.
Ryan Gorman. Now it's the...
Well,
Can
you're-
we just do the above average Peter White?
You're all the above average. All right, we could. I mean, or what? Well, you have something else you call him, His Highness.
Oh, His Highness. Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna be on the morning show
All week.
every day,
All week.
every day next week, right?
All
You're gonna
week.
be
I'm
here.
gonna be tuning in every single day to hear this.
You're gonna be here. You're gonna be here right at the beginning, right? You're
I'm
gonna be
gonna
here
make
for
sure
the
that I'm here before Pete. So
right.
It's, yeah.
And then you'll be here for the entire 2 hours, Monday through Friday, correct?
Absolutely. And
Yes.
then, well, what we'll do is we'll set up my little sleeping bag and tent under the stairs like I do during those weeks.
Yep,
and,
yep.
Love it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you'll be at
Pictures
the
or you're
you'll be
or
at the
you're
news
not.
desk, right? You'll be right
I
there.
was thinking about the big desk.
Oh,
but,
there you go.
Ooh.
Very
I was
nice.
gonna get here
Yeah.
before Pete.
Yeah, yeah.
This
Oh,
could get really interesting.
that's fantastic. All right.
Oh, there's Pete texting me. You're not coming. No.
Ha!
And I thought, well,
He can't stop you. That's
Since-
the thing.
since our other surprise obviously is not happening, or he would have been here by now, I thought Paul Cormier was going to try to come in, but I guess not. So,
Maybe
Oh,
he
that's
heard
who was
Peter
coming
or
in. Oh, I
something.
would have loved to have seen him.
who did you think I was talking about?
I had no idea.
Oh,
But
okay.
I haven't seen Paul in person in years.
Yes,
In
yes.
years.
Oh,
Make,
wow.
make sure when you see him, though, you refer to him as Paul Cormier. That's the correct way to say his last name.
Okay.
And he's a stickler about
That's
it.
how we got on the like my mom's maiden name.
Yes,
Vazovich
yes.
Versus Weswitz.
Yes, yes, indeed. So we'll wrap up with this. Fred Bonig sent me this. I want to hear it. Tim Hawkins. It's called the Man Bun Song. Since we were discussing man buns, I don't think I
Maybe you'll be back next week with a man
can.
bun.
I don't think I can do a man bun.
I think we can
Hey,
try it.
if you just call it a samurai bun, then it's a different story.
Okay. I didn't think of that. All right. So
Isn't that cultural appropriation?
yes,
Oh, isn't it something always these days? It's always something.
their culture is not a costume.
No, I agree. Listen, I agree with a lot of that stuff, but
I try to always end with something very PC, so no one's upset with me about anything. Your culture is not a costume. Those
that
social
shirt's
justice
awesome, by the
warriors.
way.
Yes, I've got the airtight shirt.
Love it.
Yes, indeed. All right, so we'll leave with this. Thanks, everybody. And if you
Thanks,
missed
Matt.
any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit at WMNHradio.org. And that's it for us for now. Stick around. Granite State of Mind is next, and I'll talk at y'all on Monday.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
So we got together like old time, but it didn't take long. something was wrong. Brother, have you lost your mind? Well, we used to be